What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Who Gives a Dram, and on today's episode, we are going to be reviewing a dram of Laphroaig 10yr Cask Strength Single Malt Scotch Whiskey. What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Who Gives a Dram. Today's episode is episode 30. Episode 30. And I told myself before the episode started that I was going to see what athlete has worn number 30 in the past so we could see what episode it was. What athletes wore number 30? For sure, starting the podcast so unprepared. The best athletes who wore number 30 ranked. Stephen Curry. Today's a Steph Curry episode. Who would have thought? We're on the Steph Curry episode of Who Gives a Dram. Before we get into the podcast, shout out to Snoot Glass. Go to www.snootglass.com. Enter promo code WGAD20 for 20% off your entire order. And check out www.thegrapevinemedia.com for a bunch of cool content over there. Check out our merch store. Use the code LAUNCH at checkout for 15% off your entire order when you check out our merch, and it's pretty cool. Also, if you're not subscribed on YouTube, you guys, please subscribe on YouTube. Also, subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. But if you're not subscribed on YouTube, subscribe on there because I'm releasing my merch store once I hit 100 subscribers, and the subscribers are like itching up. I get a few every week, but I want to release it, and I want you guys to be able to buy some merch if you want. But just go on, subscribe. It takes 2 seconds. Do that for me. Do that for your buddy Connor. All right. Do that for Who Gives a Dram. So, who else is number 30? Steph Curry, Nolan Ryan. Today's a Nolan Ryan episode. Today's the Ken Griffey Jr. episode. Dude, I used to have back in the day, I had the sweetest pair of Ken Griffey Jr. trainers. And if I can find a picture of them, I'll put them like in here or here, wherever I put my pictures on when I edit the video. They were the coolest sneakers I ever had in my entire life. Definitely, well, at least top 3 coolest. They were... Ken Griffey Jr. is like the most underrated athlete of all time because he was, arguably the best baseball player to ever lived. And he just, no one ever talks about him anymore. Got the best swing of all time. A swing that everybody wants. Ken Griffey Jr. has. So, 13-time All-Star, Hall of Fame. What a guy. I had his shoes. Terrell Davis... Some goalie, Martin Broder. Sorry if anyone listens to this podcast that listens to hockey. I'd probably just butchered that name. I don't watch hockey, so don't kill me. Todd Gurley, Bernard King, another goalie that I don't know how to pronounce his name, Henrik Lundqvist, Ed Belfour, another hockey guy, Gary Cheevers, bunch of hockey guys. But today's a Steph Curry episode, number 30. Totally was not expecting to do that to begin the podcast, but here we are. It's what we do, you guys. We fly by the seat of our pants and we have a silly goose time, as I've said. Also, if you're not following me on TikTok, give me a follow on TikTok, you guys. I've been posting some funny clips. By the time I release this podcast, I'm recording this on Sunday. Today's Sunday, June 6th, and it's very hot. I'm sweating a lot right now. There should be tropical birds flying around in my apartment because it's so hot. The only way it should be this hot in someone's apartment is if tropical birds are also in there. And palm trees. I do have my Christmas tree right behind the camera, though. I set it back up, but the lights don't work, so I'm an idiot. By the time I release this episode, I would have put out my Metamucil TikTok. Remember last episode I went into Metamucil? Which I took today, by the way. And I actually messed up on my Metamucil rant. I take it 4 times a week. Not 3 times, I take it 4 times a week. And it's good. I like it. I actually like the taste of it. But yeah, follow me on TikTok, you guys. I'm trying to get some more followers on there. I think I have 40 followers. which I don't know if that's a lot for TikTok, but I'm excited about today's whiskey, you guys. We're doing Laphroaig. We're doing Laphroaig 10-year Cask Strength Irish whiskey. We picked up this bottle a few weeks ago, and as you can tell on the video podcast, we cracked it open. It's had some time to breathe. I'm actually going to pour some into my snoot glass right now to let it breathe. Oh, I can already smell it. Just to let it breathe a little bit. Give it a little swirly poo. I've been on a Malt Scotch kick recently. And I think it's because that's the only thing my dad drinks is Malt Scotch. So when he picks up a bottle, he'll text me, "Hey, I just picked up a bottle of Laphroaig 10." I was, all right, I like Laphroaig 10. It's a classic. And then I go over and it's cask strength, batch 11 from March 2019. You can't find this stuff in a lot of spots. And where did he pick this up? Wyoming Package Store. My favorite package store. Shout out to you guys. They said they listened to the podcast, so shout out to you guys. And this is stuff you can't really find a whole lot. So I was pumped. Had to drink it. I remember loving it. It's been a few weeks since I've had it. I'm excited to taste it on the podcast. But like, he also say like, hey Connor, I just picked up a cool bottle. Like, all right, Dad, what is it? Is it Ardbeg? What? I know it's an Malt Scotch. It's Lagavulin 16-year. What? I'm on my way 5 minutes ago to taste that. Are you serious? So we've been tasting Scotch whiskeys together for the past few weeks, and I took his Campfire. I'm keeping it. This is his Laphroaig, but I'm not going to keep it because I'm not that much of a dick to keep a Laphroaig cask strength, because he will drink it. So kind of just like a father-son bonding thing. It's nice. It's nice drinking Scotch. But it's kind of like, it's not the weather to drink Scotch though. So it's weird to me that I'm on this Scotch kick. It's hot outside. You don't drink an Malt Scotch when it's hot. But I've been doing it, man. I've been drinking Malt Scotches. I've been into it. I love them. I haven't done many Scotches on this podcast. I've done Monkey Shoulder, Ardbeg Wee Beastie, Johnny Walker Black, Oban 14, and I think that's it. Am I missing one? I don't have many Scotches at my apartment right now. I'm pretty sure that's it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. If I've done another one, I forgot. We're 30 episodes in, you guys. Been doing this. I'm a seasoned professional at this podcast thing now. But yeah, so I've been into these Malt Scotches. I've been loving them. And yesterday was Ardbeg Day, June 5th. And I wanted to drink Ardbeg for this episode, but we've already done the Wee Beastie. So I couldn't do Wee Beastie again. And I don't have another Ardbeg. And I haven't gone out hunting yet this weekend. At this point, I probably won't. But regardless, shout out to Ardbeg Day. I've seen all my buddies on Instagram promoting Ardbeg for Ardbeg Day. Coffee Black Whiskey Neat. She posted a picture with the new Ardbeg Scorch, and we were talking back and forth. And she said it's going to be available for, in distribution within the United States. So I'm excited for that. Hopefully I can find that around me, because I'll definitely pick up a bottle of Ardbeg Scorch, which I actually mentioned on the podcast a few weeks ago as a new whiskey being released. Supposedly it's fantastic. And I would imagine so, because it's Ardbeg, and Ardbeg's the best. But yeah, it was Ardbeg Day. I didn't go online to ardbeg.com like everyone was saying, but I was busy yesterday. Yesterday we did a whole project at my parents' house. They live in a log cabin, and we took down the entire middle wall in the living room, so now it's all one big spot. So we were doing that all day yesterday, and I didn't get a chance to go on. But we did take down a wall, and we had there's a bunch of us there, and my cousin Ryan was there. My cousin Ryan's 7 feet tall, so his job was to hold the house up so it didn't fall down once we took the beams down, which he did. He held the house up for us, so thank you, Ryan. What else? I got a few things I want to touch on today. I got my notes here. Our big day. I got this right here. Before we go in quickly to the Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather fight, which is happening tonight. I made a lot of very, very good connections throughout my time here doing a whiskey podcast, and a lot of good friends. And someone who I'm excited to learn more about when he comes on the podcast in the next few weeks, which is confirmed, might end up being the first guest, like the first real guest, depending on how some other interviews shape up. Don't know. Chris from Knows Your Bourbon, at Knows Your Bourbon on Instagram. We've been going back and forth. I really, really enjoyed the concept behind his Knows Your Bourbon kit, and we set up a date to get on the podcast, and he was kind enough to send me a kit, a Knows Your Bourbon kit. So when I nose my whiskey today, I am going to use Chris's Knows Your Bourbon, and this is cool because it's like a whiskey label, filled on May 21, batch number 56. That's very clever. And then his initials created by Chris Walters. This is very cool. He has a partnership, or I don't know, but these are in the bespoke kits, like the monthly man packages. Bespoke. It's a pretty popular thing. And that's huge. That's really cool. So, Chris, shout out to you, Chris. Thank you so much for sending me this. I'm excited to have you on the show. And just so you guys know, like, when you buy these, they're totally worth it, by the way. Totally worth it. It has a bunch. I don't want all these to fall out, but it has a bunch of the names of what you're smelling. So, I don't even know if you can see that on the podcast. So, like, the first one I went to was vanilla. So vanilla's right here. Vanilla. You just open it up. Give it a little sniff. Oh, very strong vanilla. Close it back up. And it's got everything. Peanut, oak, cherry, corn, wheat, rye, cinnamon, black pepper, clove, allspice, leather, tobacco, vanilla, caramel, honey, chocolate, brown sugar, mint. Basically the essential, the very generalized noses that you get on bourbons, you get through this kit. So when we terrible timing for a cough, Connor. Come on now, you're better than that. When we smell this Laphroaig today, when we nose it, we're gonna use this kit in honor of Chris. And like I said, Chris is gonna be on the podcast here soon, so looking forward to that conversation. And also today, a little bit more news. Today is Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul. And when the podcast comes out, there will already be a winner. And it'll probably be old news. But that comes out, that fight is tonight, and it's $50. And it is probably the weirdest fight I've ever kind of wanted to buy. I'm still debating whether I'm going to buy it tonight because it's Sunday night. I mean, I'm probably just going to be drinking a little bit of whiskey tonight, hanging out. What else am I going to do? It's essentially like, so I'm sure everyone who's listening to the podcast knows somewhat about boxing. I'm sure that you know who Floyd Mayweather is. I mean, arguably the greatest boxer of all time. Definitely in my opinion, the best defensive boxer of all time. Just a mastermind in the squared circle. A boxer with probably the highest boxing IQ. Is 50-0, and he's a beast. And even though he's up there in age, he's fighting Logan Paul. So if you don't know who Logan Paul is, big, strong, athletic kid. Well, he's a few years older than me. I think he's 26. I'm 24. And I'm doing a whiskey podcast while he's fighting Floyd Mayweather. One of these days, I'm going to fight Manny Pacquiao. I'm calling him out right now once I become a huge star. But Logan Paul made his, he got famous off YouTube. and content creation and doing a bunch of controversial things. Then he had some high-profile boxing bouts, but not, well, I think one was professional, but against other non-professional boxers. So this is what I'm trying to say is for the whiskey heads that are listening to this is essentially Pappy Van Winkle versus Fireball. All right, we all know how that's gonna go. This shouldn't even be a contest. But knowing Floyd Mayweather, my prediction is that he's just gonna let it ride out the entire 8 rounds because they're doing 8 3-minute rounds. No judges, and that way they both get their hand raised at the end. There's no official score. There's no official winner. I don't think Floyd Mayweather's ego, not his ego, I don't think he cares so much about what other people think, in my opinion, that he's not going to let himself disappoint people he could, let's be real. Logan Paul's got 30 pounds on Floyd Mayweather, but he could knock Logan Paul out in the first round if he really, really wanted to. But it's just one of those things. It's of course it's happening. It's 2021. We've got Cybertrucks, we've got Bitcoin, we've got coronavirus, and we've got Floyd Mayweather boxing a YouTuber. That's essentially this past year, like from June 2020 to June 2021. That's this year wrapped up. Coronavirus, Elon Musk, Bitcoin, and now Floyd Mayweather boxing Logan Paul. What are you going to do about it? But anyways, let's start getting into the actual whiskey like we're supposed to do. So I've got a little bit of water here too, because I'm going to taste this. I'm going to nose this and taste this dry, and then I'm going to add a little bit of water into it, because it says on the bottle to add twice as much water as whiskey, but I'm not going to do that. A little bit of history. Let's see. This is Laphroaig, obviously. This is an Islay Scotch, single malt Scotch whiskey. Single malt meaning it's 100% malted barley. So that's the mash bill. It is 58.6 proof, or 117 or 58.6% ABV, alcohol by volume, 117.2 proof. So this is a heavy hitter. This is no joke. For a Scotch whiskey, this is Laphroaig's big boy. So the first Laphroaig we're doing on the podcast, we're going big, you guys. It's a 10-year, aged 10 years in charred oak barrels and matured, curated charred oak barrels, used charred oak barrels. And then MSRPs, at least from around maybe between $70 to $80. So Laphroaig is one of a handful of Islay distilleries in Scotland. Most notably, you've got Laphroaig, Ardbeg, Lagavulin. I think there's one other one that I can't remember off the top of my head right now that I'm probably going to get slaughtered online for, but I just can't remember it. And it was established in 1815 by Donald and Alexander Johnston. This is not Scottish. Guy's name is Donald. Donald and Alexander Johnston. It's not Scottish. What? I wonder if that was no, because it was in 1815. It's a long time ago. That's at least 50 years ago. Yeah. They must have been Scottish, but their names are not Scottish. And it's the only whiskey to carry the royal warrant of the Prince of Wales. Don't really care about that. I don't even know who the Prince of Wales is. I don't even know where Wales is. I'm not gonna lie. I love Scotland. I love Ireland. I want to visit there one day. I really do. I don't know where Wales is. Whenever I think of Wales, for some reason, I think of I think of Asgard. Is that right? If anyone listens to this podcast is from Wales or from that area, let me know. Is Wales like Asgard? Does it have castles? Does it have? I think of it as like a city built on a cliffside overlooking the ocean, and there's a bunch of castles and people wearing like a lot of jewelry and crowns. And yeah, that's definitely, and there's like, I would imagine when I think of Wales, I think of they definitely don't use electricity. That's just what I think of. I know it's not right, but that's Wales to me is like Wales might as well have stopped in 1920, or not even, in like 1890. Everybody else, kept on going. Everyone else in the world, all the way up to 2021. But Wales stayed in 1890, and that's just what they do. It's kind of like Wakanda. Is Wales Wakanda? It's a good point. Has anyone really even been to Wales? Is Wales even a place? This heat is starting to get to me, man. There's no tropical birds in here, but it's hot as hell. I'm an idiot. All right, let's get into this tasting, you guys. I gotta put a little bit more whiskey in there. There's not a lot. Oh, man. I'm keeping that in. I'm keeping that in the podcast. I got all over my notebook. Keeping that in the podcast, you guys. My notebook is literally ruined. Well, not really. And I don't have any, I got a paper towel right here. For those who are listening to this, I just spilled my scotch. I must have done something bad. That's bad karma. It smells terrific, though. All right. Let's try that again. Not taking that out. All right. Hopefully that's better. Yeah, that's better. Not taking that out of the podcast, you guys. From day one, I've said, what you see is what you get. On this podcast, I love to drink whiskey. I want to learn more about whiskey. I want to be what they call a connoisseur of whiskey. But I also like having a loosey-goose time, and part of that, and there goes my light. This is a mess. My light just fell down. Oh, man, this podcast is brutal, but we're moving forward. Not letting that stop us. We're 23 minutes in. I'm not stopping. Andy Samberg said it best in Popstar, the movie. Never stop, never stopping, you guys. That's the name of this episode. Never stop, never stopping. I spilled some scotch. My O-ring light just fell down, so now I'm looking pretty dark on the podcast probably. But guess what? That's just what happens in life. You keep on moving forward. You never stop, never stopping. Like I said last podcast, or no, I haven't even said this on the podcast yet. One of my favorite quotes of all time. The early worm gets the bird, okay? Never stop, never stopping. Let's get into the nose. All right. Oh, man. That's really nice. Briny, saltiness. And see how professional I am, you guys? We just had chaos happen here. We just had chaos happen live on the podcast. I'm not stopping the podcast. We're moving on with the tasting. You got to roll with the punches like Floyd Mayweather. Speaking about Floyd Mayweather, you got to roll with the punches. Little shoulder shrug. Evade the punches. And kill two stones with one bird. So what I get right off the bat is a briny saltiness. Not so much smoke. There's a bit of smoke in there. Lots of alcohol forward. I definitely wouldn't recommend sticking your nose in there just like I did because it probably just ruined my nostrils. But there's also a nice fruity aspect to it as well. You would expect with such a high proof that this would be a killer on the nose, especially being an Islay Scotch, but it's really not. It's very Islay Scotch forward. It's very briny. I get a lot of maritime notes, like seaweed, salt, curated meat. Like a smoked meat, black pepper, a little bit of spice. But on the back end, there's a nice fruit. There's a nice sweet fruit note. Not a lot of vanilla. Not a lot of. Let's go to Chris's Knows Your Bourbon. Let's do this. What do I smell? I smell black pepper. Black pepper. So this is exactly what this is made for, you guys. Yep, definitely a little bit of black pepper. And not as much as I thought. This black pepper, and there's literally black pepper in there. What else do I get? Rye, wheat, corn, cherry, maybe. Let's give this a smell. Yeah, there's definitely fruit notes on there. Definitely, it's got to be. Yep. Maybe not cherry, but it's definitely in that realm. Maybe not a dried fruit. Maybe it's got to be like a sweeter fruit. Let's get to what is tobacco. There might be a little bit of tobacco on this too. No, not really. No. I'm getting a lot of peat, salt, nothing else that's maybe honey. No, not honey. Yeah, I'm not really getting anything else that's currently in the nosing kit, because it's not a bourbon. I mean, this is a bourbon nosing kit. I'm doing it with a Scotch, but a little bit of that maybe like a lighter, sweeter fruit. But it's mainly those Islay Scotch smells. I mean, it's nice. It's a really, really nice briny saltiness, smoked meat, smokiness in general, peat moss, earthy. It smells great. It really does. Let's see. I got my tasting notes today from Can't Do Breaking Bourbon, because this isn't a bourbon. So I'm getting my tasting notes today from Masters of Malt. Shout out to Masters of Malt and my Totally Ruined book. I'll just go out and get another one. Classic maritime aromas, sweet vanilla plus lemon curd fading into peach smoke. All right, I don't get the vanilla. I really don't. Oh, well, now that they say it, maybe I do. I get more of a sweet fruit. Going back into the bourbon nosing kit, you guys. Vanilla's right here. Ooh, yeah, maybe I do get vanilla. Yep. A little bit of vanilla. Look at that. Thank you, Chris, for helping me distinguish the smell of my Laphroaig 10yr Cask strength Islay Scotch whiskey, single malt Scotch whiskey. So I get, now that I smell it, now it's really on there. Vanilla, sweeter fruit, and then all the standard Islay Scotch smells. So before this podcast goes more to shit, you guys, let's get this whiskey into our system. So I hope you're having a great week, to a great rest of the week, to a good dram about to be drank. I hope you guys are drinking with me. If not, I hope you guys are going to be drinking with me later in spirit. So cheers, you guys. Shlanta. Let's drink. Oh. Oh. That's all peppery, smoky. Oh, that's such a high proof for a Scotch. Peppery, smoky, That's all I'm getting right now. First sip of whiskey of the day. It's 2:30 in the afternoon. Yeah. Wow. That is hitting hard. Need a little bit of water in my system to remedy that. Man. Yeah, so that's definitely a briny, salty dram for sure. Whew. I'm saying I'm definitely getting a smoky, salty meat frontwards. Like I drank that and went back to a campfire. Funny enough, that we did campfire last week. Like you're sitting, like you just huffed in a bunch of campfire smoke. But it's salty. It's like the smoke from. All right, this is exactly what this reminds me of. It reminds me of when I was up in Vermont with my cousins at their cabin, not my cabin. We had a big charcoal grill that we just had a big grate over, and we were all grilling steaks. It's like the smoke from that into your mouth. But if you're grilling like a pork chop or something, it's pork. It's not really steak smell, it's pork smell. Yeah, I'm not getting a lot of sweetness. On the back end, there's a bit of a vanilla note. Just the tiniest bit of sweetness on there. Yeah, I'm saying a little bit of a little bit of vanilla and almost like a clove type of taste to it, but nothing very distinguishable. This is mostly just cask strength, smoky, salted meat smoke. Just, I think I just grew a little bit more hair on my chest as I've been talking. So let's put it that way. What does Masters of Malt say? Rock salt. Rock salt. Who's eating rock salt? Like the rock salt you put on a driveway? Is this another breaking bourbon review right here? Is this actually breaking bourbon? Slightly tropical. This is taking a left turn. Sweet fruit, dash of lemon zest, oak char, swirls of smoke. Lemon zest. I don't get any lemon zest. Sweet fruit. I'm not really getting a lot of sweet fruit. I got sweet fruit more in the nose than I did on the palate. Oh, it's spicy. Spicy. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of like it burns the tongue. I'm not getting a vanilla sweetness or a slightly tropical, no. I'm getting a little bit of vanilla on the back, but it's all smoked meat, smoke, peat on the front end. It's really, really good. So I'm going to add a little bit of water into it now, just a drop. And we're going to let that sit there for a second. We're going to roll it up. And we're going to see how that affects what we've been nosing and tasting so far. You guys, I'm still trying to recover from the fact that I spilled the whiskey and then my light fell over. I'm not going to lie. If anyone is still listening to this podcast at this point, God bless you. Ooh. Getting that water in there, that really brings out that sweeter note. I'm getting a little butterscotch now, a little more of that malted barley in there. A little bit less smoke, but the smoke is definitely still there. Vanilla. That's like a totally different dram. Same on the taste. The nose is different. I think it's not as different on the taste though. Cleanse the palate real quick. Let's give it one more sip before we give it a rating. I'm just gonna bundle the neat and the water drams together into one score. It's a little lighter on the palate with the water added. Makes sense, proofing it down a little bit. But I'm getting a larger expression of the smoked meat and smoke. Not as much spice, but that Islay Scotch smoked meat and smokiness and peatiness is coming more forward, and that sweetness is actually taking a dive back. But on the nose, it was the opposite. Maybe I'm just stupid, but very interesting nonetheless. We'll have to revisit this. This bottle will probably be a little bit less empty than this in the next year. We don't really drink a whole lot of Scotch at the Gilbert household, where this bottle will rely. Where this bottle will live. It's not going to live here at Who Gives a Dram Studios. Overall rating. Again, I have a hard time spending a lot of money on Scotch. I just do. I like to sit down after a day and have a glass of bourbon. That's just what I like to do. But I've been on an Islay Scotch kick. This is really good. $70 for this batch for cask strength whiskey from Laphroaig, one of the most reputable Scotch whiskey brands in the world. It tastes great. It's really unique in the fact that, sipping it neat, which is how I usually sip it. You do get a bit of that sweet fruit, vanilla on the nose, although it's not as present on the taste. A nice long hearty finish, something that you can sip outside, maybe on a cooler summer night. Sit in your snoot glass, sip it by the campfire. This is a perfect dram for that. Even grilling, this would probably be a perfect dram. Grilling outside, you would think you would want a lighter bourbon, but a heavier Scotch like this, you're really kind of mixing in the notes you're already getting from the grill to a degree. So this might be an appropriate summer dram after all. So on this episode 30 of Who Gives a Dram, Laphroaig 10-year Cask Strength Islay Single Malt Scotch Whiskey, I'm going to give this an 8.8 out of 10. I think if you're a Scotch whiskey guy more than a bourbon guy, I think this is a must-have. I think if you can find Laphroaig Cask Strength, definitely pick it up. You won't be disappointed. As a bourbon guy, more so myself, I can really appreciate the complexity of the notes that I'm getting in this dram. It's definitely packs way more of a punch than the regular Laphroaig 10, and I just think it's way better. I'm a higher proof guy to begin with, so 8.8 for Laphroaig 10-year Cask Strength Islay Single Malt Scotch Whiskey, and that's gonna do it for the podcast, you guys. We're 40 minutes in. I can't afford my apartment to blow up. We've got the spill. We've got the light falling over. Who knows what's going to happen next? But regardless, you guys, thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. And I also want to mention real quick, give a quick shout out. I meant to do this at the beginning of the episode, but I thought of it midway through my tasting. Thank you, Daryl from Whiskey Sith, for this sweet hat. He sent this over to me. He's one of someone I'm very close to in the whiskey world, and he's definitely going to be on the podcast very soon as well. So Daryl, or Whiskey Sith at Whiskey Sith on Instagram, thank you so much for the hat. It really means a lot to me, and I appreciate all the conversations that we have. So you guys, that's going to do it for episode 30, the Steph Curry episode. Tune in next week. We'll do episode 31. I have no idea what whiskey we're going to do yet. Maybe we'll stay on a Scotch course. Maybe we'll go with bourbon. Maybe we'll go with rye. Who knows? Maybe we'll review a Miller Lite. Who knows? No, we're not going to do that. But anyway, guys, Nick Bossy, Pretty New Diamond, Play Me Out. You guys, take care. Have a great rest of the week. Cheers.
Up in New England, that girl sure loved me. We got together and brought things to life. So I did buy her a pretty new diamond and asked that sweet woman if she'd be my wife. kind of feeling love songs are made of. With that sweet woman, spend the rest of my life. Before she came along, I was hurting, but at the end of my tunnel, I saw no light. Broke my heart and I can't keep going. Guess I'll just sit here and get drunk tonight. Vows they meant nothing and she ran to a stranger, and with Johnny Walker I'm passing my time. I asked the Lord, what should I do? But I'm too drunk to hear him tonight. So sit with my bottle while Hank Sr. singing. I'm so lonesome I could cry. Gave me back that pretty new diamond and broke my heart a second time. But I got the last laugh when I pawned off her ring, 'cause I bought me a dime bag and a case of Coors Light. I asked the Lord, what should I do? But I'm too drunk to hear him tonight. So sit with my bottle while Hank Sr. singing. I'm so lonesome I could cry. So sit with my bottle while Hank Sr. singing. I'm so lonesome I could